Il recesso è perfetto. Io il recesso è perfetto.
Hi Dario,
Hello.
can you tell us a little bit about the place where we are now?
Yes, we are in Petralia Sottana, which is a little mountain town, a couple hours from Palermo. It's beautiful. Everybody, when they think of Sicily, they think of the sea and the ocean and the islands. But then there's this side inside, which just seems more like Switzerland. It's clean and stones everywhere. It's very pretty. And fourth edition of the Petralia Festival. This year we have Stockholm, Rosenberg, and a bunch of Italians,
And you will be
fun.
performing tonight, won't
And
you?
I'll be performing tonight. Yeah,
On the big stage.
Yeah,
Yes.
also it's fun.
So we're recording another lesson
Yes.
in this beautiful environment, and the church bell will accompany us. So what will this one be about?
Okay. Well, we're going to talk maybe a little bit about rhythm. We'll start with this and look at some ideas of how to think of rhythm when you play rhythm, and in my experience of what is, I guess, good or bad is sounds a bit severe, but what is more considered good or bad, I guess, and certain dynamics and things.
In my opinion, for me, always most important thing is not to annoy the other players.
Yes.
So that would be a question: how not to annoy the other players?
Okay. Well, I would say there are several things. The first thing I think is, which is I think the most important and the less considered, is volume. You know, when the one thing I don't like, and I know a lot of players don't like, is when you're playing in a jam and you hear 90% of the rhythm players, if there's more than one or three or four, and the soloist is like, could be not even playing. Frankly, sometimes you just hear and people just play over the soloist, and they're so concerned about what they're doing that they're not even really paying attention. So I think even if it's something that you haven't done, I think it's important to key in to the soloist. Are they playing the Gypsy technique, or are they playing the modern electric? Can you hear them? I mean, if you can't hear the soloist, you've got to ask yourself a few questions. So pay attention to the soloist and try to key in on what they're trying to do or what they're saying. And so the volume, though, I think is something that if you acquire enough, again, we go back to the concept of looseness. If you're loose enough with your wrist, you can really play a pomp that is sort of thick and full, but not invasive as far as frequency. So what I see happens many times is that people revert back to the wrist being stiff, and then it just covers everything. Whereas you can still play a pomp. It doesn't have to be loud, and it can still be full. So you can have dynamic, and if you play with somebody that's loud, you can. So being present but not invasive is something that you can do if you acquire the right looseness with your right hand and right grip with your left. So that's the first thing. The second thing is variations in terms of like fills and stuff like that.
Voicings?
So, voicings and stuff like that. I think it's easy to get caught, especially today with all the jazz influence, you know, and a lot of voicings and rhythms and
fills.
And I think that it depends, you know. I mean, if you're playing with a bass player, I think it's important, sort of in a trio setting. I think it's sort of very important to be one thing with the bass player in a way, and try to find a sync where you're playing steady, and so you're playing solid pump, and you can add certain things on turnarounds, or you have certain little accents that you give, but for the most part, you wouldn't be doing.
So you'd be stay on the beat all the time,
Yeah,
just
you
to
would
be
stay
clear.
on the beat, yeah. Unless there's two rhythm players, then maybe if it's established that one of the two stays solid, then the other one has the freedom maybe to embellish a little
Yeah.
bit. But those things should be talked about. Of course, in jam sessions, it's in the intelligence of the musicians to hear this. But if you're playing in a duet situations, there's moments when you can open up, and if the communication is open with the other musician, you know, you can sort of play around and see and dialogue a bit more. You know, but you always want to just make sure that you try to see what's in the best interest of everything, you know. So if there's two rhythm guitarists, one of the two can possibly have a bit more freedom, but if both have, then it's a mess. If you have one guitarist only playing rhythm, you want to stay steady, especially if you play with a bass player, you know, you want to be one thing alone.
Would it be? I have a question. Would it be disturbing, like if in the first chorus you play a certain set of voicings, then the second chorus you decide, like in the second, I make my variation by playing different voicings in the second chorus. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Typically, I would say overall it would not be a great idea, because again, you want to give a certain stability to the soloist, and unless it's something that you've agreed upon or something that, you know, he expects, you know, I think it's good to give priority to giving a stable floor for the soloist to walk on.
So actually the rhythm player, it's a very modest part that you're playing, I think, and you're supposed to be supportive of the solo player,
Yeah.
and like a unity with the bass player, or by lack of a bass player, be a bass player at the same time.
Yes, you know, and then of course there's the question of again keying in on the soloist in terms of their language and their tone. For example, if I'm playing with somebody that's playing in a very modern style, I might not use certain voicings that Django used, but more modern. Playing somebody that plays more old school. I would use certain things that maybe are closer to the way Django played. So again, it depends on what kind of language your soloist is using and how you want to mesh your rhythm with his.
Sometimes the solo player goes to a more jazzy style in the second chorus, for instance, and I tend to then also try my way to go to a more jazzy style. Does that make sense, or should I just stay solid with what I was doing in the first chorus?
There's no absolute rules, but I think in general you want to try to follow and support. So if I'm playing Dinette and I'm playing somebody that plays more modern, I might use a major 7 that is this basic voicing, as opposed to that major 6/9.
But I mean also in the way you attack
also in the way. For example, you know.
So I play, like, for instance, the first chorus with the melody, the theme. I play like strict, chick, and then the other one with longer strokes.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, exactly.
I needed to know that.
Sure. You can decide to give more space in terms of your soloist when you stop a little bit. So the chord is a bit more muted, you give more room, or...
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
And these are little things that you want to try also and see what your soloist seems to prefer, or where
Well,
you-
often they don't say anything because they're
Sure.
always very nice people.
right, you know, and you're right. And I think it's something that it's an unspoken language that you can sort of sense.
Like everybody walks away, you did the wrong thing.
Yeah, you know, but either way, it's if you have the intention, I think eventually a good soloist will appreciate, and you'll find the ground. But I'd say most players that I meet that are sort of starting, or it's like for them, it's still two separate worlds. I'm playing the rhythm and I'm doing this, and okay, somebody's soloing, but you know, it's hard for them to, you know, maybe be able to play and listen at the same time. So this is
Okay.
what it's about.